All right, everybody, Aaron back here for the Ones Ready podcast. We're at the 75th Weapons School anniversary, which is a big deal. I don't understand how it is that I got invited, but I'm here with rescue pilot Papa. Papa, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself. How did you get to the 75th Weapons School anniversary? Because I got in just straight up by sneaking in. So I assume you were invited.
Sort of, my wife signed me up for this. She's also at the weapons school, so that's the only reason I'm here. So I'm the +1 trophy husband, if you will.
Nice, absolutely. So what is it that you do in the Air Force, man?
So I'm a HH-60 whiskey pilot here at the 34th Weapons Squadron at Nellis, and I'm part of the instructor cadre here.
I understand that HH-60 is a little bit new, right? What are the problems you guys have been working with the 60?
Some of the problems are it's a little too fast for us, to be honest. We're not used to that speed, right? We can have more gross weight now, so we can carry more PJs, and then also we can travel a little bit faster than we're used to. So we're just trying to figure that out. But otherwise, it's a great aircraft, has some good avionics that we're getting used to, if you will. And the biggest challenge, I'd say, for some of these old hats is trying to adjust to too much SA, if you will. So it's what we're working through right now.
Yeah, well, I think we finally got a rescue helicopter big enough and powerful enough to carry a whole PJ teams full of egos. You know what I mean? Like, you can get them all in the back now. A lot of the study and a lot of the testing that went into the 60 whiskey program, I mean, that took decades, right? And you guys are now dealing with that on the back end. What are some other challenges that you had? You mentioned almost getting like too much SA. It's almost too much information, right? What are some other challenges you guys are working with the whiskey?
Yeah, so one of the challenges with the SA that you specifically mentioned is trying to figure out how to process and filter that. So when we get information that comes to us in the jet, it's understanding what's important, what's not, and then how do I get that information to make it usable. So I'd say that's a lot of the things that we're focusing on, both from a front end and back end perspective, especially because the back end lost a little bit of ability to interact with the system.
Okay.
So now being able to process that information, work as a crew to best get that out, was one of the big challenges that we're having right now.
Yep. And as a guy that was in the back for my career, it's always tough to kind of like, you can hear things that are going on, but you really do need the pilots to give you that good gauge, be like, hey, this is what this means. And because I can hear a piece of information that you give me and I take it completely differently. For me, that might mean get your gear together. For me, that might mean a different employment thing. So the communication between the front and the back, both, the SMAs and the team in the back, always been a big deal.
Well, to your point, so one of the things that the 34th recently established was the program for the AIC. And so one big thing that we have now with the AICs going through, or SMAs as we call them, is that they are trying to figure out how to be that in between. So we go to terminal employment phase, where the big part of that is that they now can work with the team. They can figure out contracts. What does it mean with the team signals? Let's go team signals plus. Let's figure out a way to make that seamless in that transition. So when the pilot says one thing, basically the SMA can be that translation for whatever team, agnostic, whether it's Air Force or not, for them to know how to best utilize or be utilized, if you will, and or get on the ground as quick and efficient as possible. So that is a crucial note now for us in the whiskey as well.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, as we move into these future conflicts where there's going to be more contested, denied environments, I know that you guys are on the cutting edge of working that stuff here at the weapons school. It's a huge benefit to having the weapons school, is you guys are the ones that look out and go, okay, these TTPs might work now. What's going to work in the future? What's going to lead to survivability of the aircraft and the team? What are some things that you're excited about? I know you're getting ready to leave and move on and do your next great thing out in DC, but what are some things that you're excited about? What are some programs that are exciting you that are here at the weapons school, especially thinking about where it is we're going next in the future fight?
I think one interesting thing that we've been able to do is to try to transition this fight towards China, and it allows us to think of a problem set. And while the weapons school is still a schoolhouse,
sure,
right? And we're trying to work to make weapons officers the best that they can be and problem solvers, agnostic of the problem, if you will. This challenge and transition to that near peer and trying to think about those threats is something that is unique. And in rescue, especially since in the last 10, 15 years, it's been all about the global war on terror and we've been in Iraq and Afghanistan. This new type of fight and trying to transition back to this it's never been gone, truly. I wouldn't say that, but it has been kind of an interesting way for us to kind of help prepare and think about that as we go to the future. So it's been an exciting challenge to, I guess, if you will say, refocus on it, not necessarily that we've never left it.
Sure. Well, and it's the ebbs and flows of combat, right? Like my entire career was in GWAT, as a pararescueman doing 2K overlands to do a cordon and call out. Like that was something that the Vietnam PJs didn't do. Like we looked to our past to try to figure out how do we do this? And it was just such a complex problem set. It was awesome and it was fun to get after. But, pararescue has done the same thing. So combat rescue officers, pararescuemen, and then the larger Guardian Angel weapon system, everybody started focusing on these more exquisite things. And really all SOF is doing that, right? Like the SEALs are getting back to maritime, the Green Berets are getting back to FID and doing those more guerrilla type stuff. And I love seeing everybody move back towards our roots and towards really like, how do we fix this problem with a small team? How do we integrate with a team of pilots and special mission aviators and a team that's going to go on the ground? Like how does all that work? It's super interesting because it's a complex problem. Would you say that's the favorite thing about you working at the weapons school is solving complex problems, or what's your favorite part about working here?
I'd have to say the favorite part is, that is very true, but I'd say one of the other favorite parts is just seeing the WUGs grow into weapons officers, the students essentially. So
Sure.
also the SMAs grow into AICs. Just seeing that process and seeing them come in on day one, being instructor pilots and someone thinking they know everything, but
Sure.
by and large, all of them recognizing what a big challenge it's going to be. And then seeing them on the last day or seeing them in the last mission where the light comes on and they take 5.5 months, 6 months of study and then really being able to make it happen, become that decision maker and that weapons officer, that AIC graduate that we want. I'd say that's another big part of this that really makes it worth it.
Yeah.
And really helps me kind of get out of bed every day.
Well, I mean, how challenging is it to instruct people that are already instructors? Like, in order just to come to the weapons school, it's not like you can be any geek off the street. You have to be recommended by your commander and at the top of your peer group, and you have to be great. And then they come here. And how challenging is that for your instructor cadre to take those people and really take them to the next level?
To your point, exactly. It's super humbling. When they ask a question, right? And we always preach to our students, if you're a tier 1 and you don't know the answer, say, I don't know, and then try to find the answer for them. Look wherever you have to, and then use your passionate work if you have to try to find an answer. It's the same thing here as instructors, is if we don't know the answer, we have to take a step back, practice what we preach, be humble, person incredible, and mantra, and then basically be able to show that to them, because the example says 1,000 words and it really speaks to them more so if we can do that for them.
Absolutely. How'd you get your call sign, Papa? Where'd that come from?
Oh, it's a silly story. I'll leave some of it to mystery, but
Of course, sure.
When I was a WUG, it was ACM week. I was very tired, and I was sitting there eating the pizza alone in the front office. And
That's it. I love the the kind of the history of the call signs when you ask people to, hey, explain how you got your call sign. That's always the number one thing. They're like, all right, I gotta make this a little bit more PG for the audience right now, but that's awesome. How did you feel on that naming night? Did you feel like you had finally made it? I know that's a big step for you to be established, is when you get that call sign, you've gotten through weapons school and you feel like you're established. Like, did that hit you when you got your call sign? You're like, holy cow, wait a second. I might be able to really do this though.
Yeah, the naming piece was really great. It was right before Sister phase, so obviously until then I'd had kind of a pseudo name.
Sure.
When that name hit, it wasn't real for the first little bit, but then once I started going through Sister phase, people started calling me it, and it became more regular. It actually became more normal. And then what I'll tell you, what really hit for me is because I'm bilingual and I speak German, and I'm trying to teach my kid German. In German, Papa is dad. So
Sure.
my daughter starts calling me that. So
Oh, how cool.
That's kind of where it started to hit and kind of hit to the heart, was when she starts saying that. I was like, okay, now it makes sense. Now it's kind of come full circle for me, if you will.
Well, it's those personal stories that you take with you that are there for you, those deployed, times, those times where you might have a bad night at work. Like, to hear that, to be able to connect that back home, that has to be so important. I carried pictures of my kids on deployments, and I'd have a tough day, and I'd be like, oh, hey, let me just take a look at these young kids. But you get to have that built in and wrapped into your call sign. That's a really cool thing. What are you looking forward to in DC? That face says nothing. Does that face say nothing?
Well, to be honest, I hadn't thought about it because I'm still working on trying to get through the class. Because Wisdom's coming up, and it's
okay, sure.
a huge phase for us, and we're really excited for it. That being said, one thing that I'm looking forward to is Vegas has a lot of things to do, a lot of
oh yeah.
DC has a lot from the cultural aspect, and I really am looking forward to showing my kids kind of the history of our nation, if you will.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
also love to see all the jets, so going to the Smithsonian and getting to see some of the sites is really going to be a huge win for us, I think.
You guys are going to love it. I lived in the National Capital Region for 5 years. So DC, I worked at Andrews back before it was Joint Base Andrews. So I was in the area. You guys are going to love it. Papa, rescue pilot, H-860. What's your favorite thing about being a rescue pilot?
It's got to be the mission.
Amen, brother. Amen. Ain't nothing like it that others may live. Thanks for coming on and talking to us. We'll see you next time. here at the 75th anniversary of the Weapons School. Papa, thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.